right, we will say good day to you all. We will, first of all, once again, welcome all of you, each and every one of you individually, all of you together, collectively, into this particular gathering in the area on your planet known as the Sedona Vortex. Our ship, as many of you may know, is now, at this particular moment, approximately 1,936 miles above your position. We are regulating, helping to balance the energies of the Sedona Vortex, since it is the major vortex in your area that connects to many other vortices. And by regulating the energy of the Sedona Vortex, we can also help regulate the flow of energies, the balance of energies, the frequencies of energies in many of the surrounding vortices as well. So in this interaction, you will be immersed in this bubble vibration, in this bubble reality that is representative of a vortex that is connected to many others around your planet, thus then enabling you through the course of these interactions, this day of your time, to allow your neurological system, your brain, your body, through the information you will be absorbing, you will allow these systems, these neurological systems, to rewire themselves in specific ways to become more sensitive as antennae for the particular frequencies that are representative of change and transformation, and experiencing these changes and transformations that are now paramount in your lives, paramount in your world, experiencing them in a smooth, more effortless way, more joyful way. So we invite you to relax, allow yourselves the opportunity to simply let this information in, let these vibrations in, let the frequency in. Take a deep breath and allow yourselves to go along, knowing that whatever it is that truly needs to sink into you will be the vibration that will come in. No more and no less than that. Whatever you are not ready for, you will not absorb until you are, until your life unfolds in a manner to allow your vibration to match the frequencies that we are delivering in this transmission. Because these transmissions, in many ways, are what you call holographic. And thus then there is far more information being delivered in a variety of levels than your ears may be hearing. Many more frequencies of information than you may be perceiving right now. But in time, as you change, as your frequency changes, as you become an antenna more sensitive to other kinds of dimensional levels of information, you will thus then allow these things to sink in, to rewire you in ways that you are ready to apply in your physical reality. For all the information will be there, even though it may not necessarily be absorbed to the deepest levels of your being, even though it may not necessarily rewire your brain and your neurology specifically in the way certain bits of this information will. All of it will be present for you. All of it will be accessible. All of it will be available. But you will, in a time-released fashion, download whatever portions of this information being delivered to you today that you need in your own timing, whatever works for you. So just relax. You will miss nothing. All information is always accessible all the time. As we have said, What you typically refer to in your reality as the Akashic records is not really some mysterious distant place where everything is recorded as if on some sort of tape. It is simply the understanding and the idea that all things are here and now, and therefore all information is always accessible to you depending upon your frequency, because that frequency will determine what information you are capable of accessing and realizing and perceiving. Now, in conjunction with the idea that we are transmitting this information to you this day of your time in the Sedona vortex, this very powerful interdimensional gate, we will be once again allowing a being known as Willa Hillicrissing to address certain ideas. We will help facilitate the transmission of her consciousness from her reality through the channel to your reality, acting as a go-between, acting as a mediator, acting as a facilitator, acting as a co-translation moderator for her thought patterns, because we have worked with her to help train her to deliver this information through to you at this time. So we will, thus, in introducing once again her to you, allow her to communicate certain concepts that are necessary now for many of you to begin to absorb with respect to a deeper understanding of parallel realities, how it is you use parallel realities in your daily lives, because you all do all the time. And thus then, a bit at a time, a piece at a time, her information, being that she is, in her time frame, 700 years in what you call your future on Earth, she is a parallel reality specialist, thus then highly qualified to deliver to you more precisely this information. And in doing this, through her, it will also help form, in a sense, a compass needle, an arrow, a pointer, a guide, a bridge, a link, a connecting vibration to what you call your future, the future of your society on Earth, because she is a part of that society, as we said, in terms of the way you look at time, 700 years in your future. So she is part of the society that exists on your planet at that time. For it is very different from what you experience on your planet now. Thus then, along with a couple of diagrams that she will explain to you, we will now allow for the adjustment to occur to bring through this being from your future, who you may simply know as Willa. One moment. All right, then. At this time, I will say good day to you, my cookies. You're all in this way present for this form of transmission. For I will say that in this way, we have learned to bridge through the Bashar other parallel realities. And this enhances and increases our understanding of the ways in which the structure exists for all of us, and the ways in which we are connected through this structure of existence. So we will begin now to share with you many of the things, a bit at a time, in what we have learned we'll call bite-sized nuggets, bite-sized cookies. To absorb this information, we will give it to you, little bits at a time, so you have the time to digest this information in a way that works for you. Otherwise, of course, it would be pointless, would it not? So, we will begin a little bit with a little bit of our background, introducing ourselves, as it were, so you have some degree of familiarity with us, and so that we may develop this relationship over what you call time, for we will be speaking with you many times through the course and transitions taking place on your planet, and we understand that the time frame, what we call downline from us, for we are what you would call upline from you, what you call your future, what we call you in the past, downline. We understand the time frame in your reckoning, in your kenning, would be your year of 2013, which is about, again, from your linear perspective, 700 years ago to me. But clearly we all exist at the same time, or we would not be having this conversation now, would we? So, gear yourselves in this way for the following information that I will ken to you. As the Bashar has already informed you, my name is Willa Hillicrissing, and as we have previously and briefly explained, we are a type of hybrid being, and in what you call your future, when many different types of hybrid beings will exist in the society of Earth, there will be those that will take upon themselves names that are connected to nature. First names, middle names, last names that will be connected to natural things. This then will be the idea of the origin of my name, for in your time you would have used the terms willow, like the tree, and hillicrissing, like the herb. But in my time, there has been the continuation of the sociological evolution of words and language and name. So, in my time, willow, hillicrissing has evolved into that which I now label myself as Willa Hillicrissing. Though many will still retain the idea of something you would recognize as words in your own lexicon. For example, I will refer now and then to my mentor, who we have termed the name of Holly Cotton, and you can see again the utilization, as you say, of the ideas of nature in the tree and the plant of holly and cotton. This will be a very common way that these beings amongst our society will have named themselves now for generations. So, the idea is that about downline 50 of your years, Holly thus then created a work that we have called Shards of the Shattered Mirror. And this has formed the basis for the ideas and understandings of all that I now study in terms of the idea of parallel reality specialization. Before we thus then present to you how we work with these ideas of parallel realities in one particular way, again, a little bit more understanding of my being. Though I have referred to myself as a hybrid, I am not what you typically, even in your reality, think of as the typical hybrid being from those encounters that have occurred in your society between Earth human and gray being. I am something far different than that. So allow me first to share with you my particular nature, so you'll have a little bit better understanding of who I am, and why I am doing what I am doing, and why I am speaking to you this day this way. First and foremost, in terms of my look, you would say I am, of course, female. And in this way, I would look a little bit like what you in your lexicon would recognize as elfish. Though I am similar to your heights. The idea is that my eyes are golden yellow, and my hair in that sense falls to my shoulders but does not fall straight. For it is in that sense rougher, like the fur of the fox, and lightly colored, cinnamon and rusts. You'll find that I am, in that sense, of slightly pointed ear, and slender of build. And in this way, as most people know me, I am most mischievous in my attitude and carriage. For the idea of my joy is expressed through my work in a variety of ways. But I am a mixture of many things, not just the idea of your off-earth human and human, for I am also containing serious energies. I am also genetically disposed to a few other beings and civilizations. I am a mixture in a variety of ways, but I am also relatively unique in the society. For there are only 33 of my kind. I am in your lexicon what you might call a shapeshifter. In our own lexicon, upline from you, we are in our own lexicon called cryptics. The idea is that while it has been explained to you by the Bashar that time is a side effect from your consciousness shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality billions of times per second, and while obviously my reality involves the experience of time in a similar way, there are things I can also do with time, things I can experience with parallel realities that are different than you. For as a shapeshifter, not only can I experience the idea of shifting through parallel realities in the way that you do to create the sensation and experience you call time, but I can also shift parallel realities through myself. And in so doing, you would experience the idea of my shape shifting in your reality. You would see a variety of parallel reality versions of me shifting before your eyes to whatever form and fashion I so desire. So as a cryptic, as a shapeshifter, I am one of 33. And in that way, this is what forms the title of this transmission, the 33rd parallel, for it is me and my team of cryptics that deal as parallel reality specialists on the earth, and there are only 33 of us. And we form the 33rd parallel team that aids and assists in the understanding and exploration of these ideas for you, and shares with many other factions across many other parallel realities the information that we have discovered. For we do not exist in any one particular parallel stream, but in many, simultaneously, for such is the nature of being a cryptic. It is not confusing to us because we were born this way. It is our nature, and in this way can demonstrate to many, many beings in our own reality reflections and aspects of many other kinds of parallel reality streams by seeing the reflections change in the mirrors that we are as cryptics, as shapeshifters. And so, let us begin to impart some of our discoveries to you this way. We will now describe, and we have been told by the Bashar that you will be able with your technology to see these diagrams in your own way, in your own recordings. We will describe to you now what we will call in our lexicon PIN charts, P-I-N, which stands for Parallel Incarnation Chart. This is one of the devices that we use to understand, to express, to record the idea of our perception of different parallel incarnations. For again, even though you may think of the idea of past and future lives, as the Bashar has explained, they are all simultaneously coexistent, all exist at once. And again, were it not so, we could not be having this lovely conversation now today, could we? For I exist simultaneously with you, even though you perceive me being 700 years in your future. So these charts, these pin charts, which go by the more formal title of oversoul vector diagrams, but we find that to be a bit too stuffy. So we use the term pin chart, parallel incarnation chart, in our present day lexicon, in our sideline reality. You will see thus then, if you are now looking at this chart, that it is formed of a grid that represents a variety of different calibrations. These calibrations, the primary ones, the basic ones, being the idea that at the center of this chart, in the square in the center, you will see that this contains a representation, reflects a representation of the being that we are doing the chart for, the present day being, whoever that may be. And there is an indication in the center of three different varieties. In that sense, three different states of that being that we will get into in a moment. But you can also see that there are different levels, different delineations in this chart, expanding outward from the center. And you will find that if you look at the chart on the left, up and down, will be the idea of what you call the present, which we term, we ken to be the sideline. That is the lifespan of the being in what you call present terms, the present incarnation that you experience here. And you can see that it goes up line from there and down line from there into what you would label the future and the past. And in this way we chart the idea in the timeline, even though all is simultaneous. And you can see from left to right, there being in the center the idea of the being, if it expresses itself as other than male or female, but to the left would be male incarnations, and to the right would be female incarnations, both upline and downline in the future and the past. The inner portion of this grid, the one closest to the center square, will be those incarnations that are most closely connected through genetics and family lines. The idea of the next level, the next ring, the next square ring, will be those that you would consider to be unrelated incarnations genetically. And the one in the outer level will be those that are in other civilizations altogether, other realities altogether, you would call extraterrestrial. Thus you can also see that division along the bottom of the chart into extraterrestrial on both sides and Earth human in the middle. But even the Earth human in our time is not necessarily what you understand humanity to be in yours. For again, we are now mostly of a hybrid species, and a variety of things exist upon the planet. So that idea of saying Earth being is more accurate than saying Earth human. And of course, these charts can be adjusted for any civilization and any individual beings, simultaneously concurrent parallel incarnations. There are many different kinds of adjustments that can be made in these charts, but we will begin very simply so as not to cause confusion in this way, because it takes a great deal of mastery and education to learn the idea of exactly how to use these charts and chart the idea of all these different incarnations as may relate to any particular individual. For there are a number, a variety and a myriad of different incarnations that can be had. If you will thus then now, please display chart number 2. You will see the differences that have been made in this chart are representative of a few different things. You will see that in the central square, the left side has been blackened in. and labeled with the letter A. This will represent the present person. In this case, it's a male because it's on the left. If it had been colored in on the right, it would be a female in present incarnation. If it had been colored in that small center square, you would know it is neither male nor female, but other. So we begin there. And you can see immediately to one side a small blue line. Each of the small squares, the tiny grid that is overlaid upon this chart, has been adjusted in this particular example to represent 10-year increments. It can be any increment at all. And it can vary from time to time, all the way even down to minutes and seconds, days, weeks, months, years, centuries. It can be adjusted in any way, shape, or form you so desire, depending upon the chart you are creating. But for now, in this example, we will begin with the idea of each of those squares being a decade, 10 years of your counting. And thus you can see that what it tells you by the blue line that exists on the side where the male is indicated is that, for simplicity's sake, it covers 4 squares. And thus you can say that in the present incarnation, this individual is age 40 years. So that tells you immediately you are dealing with a male individual, a male incarnation, 40 years of age in its present incarnation, in the reality in which it exists on earth. Now you can see, however, that farther away, above and to the left, a longer black line. Because this black line starts 2 squares above the present incarnation line, the side line, which represents the lifespan in present incarnation, because it starts 2 squares above, that basically is an indication that that particular incarnation was born 20 years after the present lifespan of this person, and extends for 100 years into the future, upline as we say. So that incarnation is male because it's on the left side, and extends for 100-year lifespan. While lower on the right, you can see an example of what you would call a past life. Downline, we say, because it's all simultaneous, of a female that was born 130 of your years before the present lifespan of this male, but died 60 years before the present lifespan of this male was born. Thus then, this female lived a life of 70 years and is in relation to the present life in what you call the past on the female side. Now, if any of these lines had crossed into the sideline area represented by that band across the center from left to right, which represents the lifespan, the current lifespan of the present individual that we are doing the chart for, then that would mean that that life was actually being lived concurrently with the present life, would be what is called, partly at least, a counterpart. Because a soul can have incarnations in the same time frame, more than one. And that is how it would be represented on this chart, as overlapping the present lifespan band, the sideline band, to be understood to be incarnated concurrently, at least to some degree. And if this being had been, again, other than an earth being, then these lines would have extended out, would have been placed out in the outer rings. But what this shows you here is a variety of things and relationships that exist between these incarnations. And it can get much more complex than this. Again, we are only showing you a very simple slice of this idea, of this technique. And many of our charts may even show dozens, some even hundreds of these lifelines, what we call pinpoints, for it is a pin chart. So any particular life we call a pinpoint. but they stretch into these lines representing timelines. What we say up line, down line, what you call future and past, what you call the lifespan. Many of these charts can be filled with these lines. Many of them can overlap in a variety of ways. And this tells us a lot about exactly what the Oversoul is doing of this particular group of beings and how it is expressing itself along these different timelines. And it allows us to understand the relationship between all these different incarnations. And it tells us a lot about the energy of that Oversoul that all these lives are connected to. So we use these kinds of charts to determine these things as we perceive these incarnations. And it again can become much more layered even than this that you're seeing here, which is only representative of a slice. For you can stack these pin charts on top of one another, and this can represent the idea of even different parallel time streams altogether. In other words, alternate realities, alternate versions of this individual, alternate realities, alternate Earths, different experiences, different incarnations, even on alternate Earths. And so these pin charts can become three-dimensional, fourth-dimensional, fifth-dimensional. They can become, in that sense, very multi-layered. Now then, we do not use, in our upline time frame, of course, paper and pen, or even flat electronic pads as you do to represent these things. No. We have in our time frame what we call Nano Glass, nanocubes. For it is, if you imagine a cube of clear glass, or what would appear to you to be clear glass, a cube. And they can be of varying sizes, but most commonly they will be about a foot or two on each side. And in these nano glass cubes, they are the equivalent of what you would recognize in your time frame as a computer. And in these transparent cubes do appear these pin charts in all their full 3-, 4th-, and 5th-dimensional glory for us to be able to view from all sides and all angles and understand the relationships between the simultaneous incarnations that may occur in any one particular alternate timeline, any one particular alternate reality version, and also all of them together. And thus then give us a complete understanding of all the different simultaneous incarnations that the Oversoul may be extending from itself. And this is why these were originally called in the old lexicon Oversoul vector diagrams, which we have now streamlined in our time frame into pin charts. So you can begin to understand from this simple explanation how we, in the 33rd parallel, the team of 33, how all the cryptics can begin to view all these different parallel incarnations. And this is another ability that we have. For it is that many people, many beings will come to us because we have the ability to perceive in all these different parallel reality dimensions and alternate realities. We have the ability to trace, track, and perceive these alternate incarnations of any individual. And thus then it is uniquely our talent to form these pin charts for different individuals who come seeking this information from us. This is what we do. This is our calling. This is our nature. This is our ability. This is who we are. In time, you may be introduced to a few others of my team in the 33rd parallel. But for now, I will be the one that will come through more often than not, although I have been told that my mentor, Holly Cotton, may from time to time also put a word in or two. In my time frame, in what I refer to as my own personal sideline, Holly, in your terms of counting, is about 150 of your years old. I came into this and found her in that way many, many years ago, though I am, in your terms of counting, still relatively young. But you'll find, synchronistically enough, that I am 33. And this timing is one of the reasons why the synchronicity has now occurred in your year of 2013, in your downline time frame, that you can it to be the year of transformation, why these connections can now occur, why your minds and your neurology have been prepared sufficiently to receive these kinds of informations, these kinds of downloads from us and others. For there are no accidents in timing, it is all an orchestration. And a beautiful song and symphony it is to our ears and our senses that we get to play with you in this way, at this timing, my cookies. For you're all little bits of information, little sweet bites in a variety of ways, and so, cookies you are. There will be many other kinds of ideas that we will share with you along these lines of learning how to apply the concept of beginning to perceive and recognize that you are shifting through parallel realities all the time to create the side effect you call time. And we will be sharing many more ways you can apply this information in your life. For now, we will let you absorb what has been given, and we will turn the transmission back to the Bashar. But we are very, very happy to have met you all, and to be introduced in this way, and to share with our kith and kin in this way with you downline. And we thank you for expanding our reality and our perceptions, and allowing us our nature, and to interact with your nature in this way. For we are, in that sense, truly family, being of the same world, and being extensions of each other in many ways through the oversoul vectors that we have now just discussed with you. And remember that I am in my physiology of two hearts. For this is also one of my, what you would call in your lexicon, nicknames. Many people in my world not only call me a cryptic, but they call me Willa Two Hearts. So my both hearts are beating now with love for you all. So double love to you all. And we thank you and turn back the transmission to the Bashar. Blessings and sharings to you all. There will be many more transmissions from Willa and her kin in the 33rd parallel, and there will be more discussions of this idea of parallel realities and how to apply these ideas practically, effectively, in your understanding of reality, in your incarnation, your pinpoint. And this can be the subject of the continuation of many of the questions and answers that will happen in this transmission this day of your time, in the live interactions that we will undertake with you after this particular recorded session. But we wanted to lay the foundation and allow Willa herself to lay out these lines for you, because not only is it about the information she has delivered to you in this way, through the channel vocally, it is not only about the information she has delivered in this way, through the diagrams and charts that you have been shown and handed physically this day of your time, so that you will have your own copy of this chart to take with you, to look at, to absorb, to study. But it is also about her particular vibrational energy, her particular frequency that you are also absorbing, because it will, in that sense, draw you like a magnet to your compass needle into that particular frequency that represents the reality stream, the parallel reality stream of her existence, like a marker, like a guidepost, like a lighthouse, like a beacon, specifically along that corridor of parallel realities toward that particular future, or as Willa would say, upline existence. And thus then it gives you a homing beacon to stay within that frequency that Willa has imparted to all of you, in conjunction with the frequencies that we have imparted to all of you blending together in a hybridized way, and in itself becoming more capable of allowing you to become more receptive to the vibrations of her cryptic nature, her shape-shifting nature, so that even though you may not shift in the way that Willa does, you can allow for more superconductivity and hyperconductivity of energy flow in all directions within you to allow you to shift through your parallel reality streams of choice in your theme of exploration in ways that are far more effortless, smoother, so that you blend and harmonize and accelerate and experience more and more of your total selves. One moment. Later in your terms of time, there will be a meditation given in conjunction with the holotope that will specifically be designed as a vortex meditation to aid and assist you in amplifying, magnifying, and aligning and harmonizing with the vibrations of the vortex you are now immersed in, the bubble reality you are now experiencing with this transmission. And at that time, I will also aid and assist in directing your consciousness to some of the other vortices nearby that the Sedona vortex is linked with and connected to, for purposes of allowing you to begin to experience some of the alternate shifting patterns that are possible within this bubble reality and magnifications that can occur within your consciousness and perceptions that can come to you along these lines. But that will be then. In a different now than this now. In this now, we will simply allow you to absorb what has been given, knowing that you are being, by your very own choice, at your very own pace, in your very own way and your very own style, rewiring yourselves to allow these energies to flow along those neurological pathways more easily, more effortlessly, more harmoniously, with more blending, more holistically, less segregation, more integration, more love, more joy. So breathe all of it in, and with every exhalation know that you are shifting, shifting, shifting into the vibrations of the 33rd parallel to whatever extent Willa and her team will help guide you, to whatever degree is appropriate for you to absorb that energy information and make it your own for your own applications and purposes in the theme of exploration that you chose as this particular pinpoint incarnation, here and now, as a vector of your oversoul, in concert and orchestration with all the other vectors simultaneously, here and now. You may now take a short break, after which we will create a transmission between us to allow for the exchange of further information, questions and answers along these lines of the 33rd parallel. We thank you. Take your break.
Hello, Bashar, and thank you for everything you have offered us. I so appreciate you. I would like some clarification on balancing points 3 and 4 of the formula. Point three, acting on my excitement without any insistence, assumption, or expectation of what the outcome should be, and staying in a positive state of mind. So my clarification is I get how I should let go and allow things to unfold and trust that the abundance that I'm seeking in this specific example can come from many different ways, but I'm not sure how I can stay in a positive state of mind without some belief that it is going to work, that I am going to have my needs met. So, how can I both have no insistence that it's going to work and yet stay in a positive state of mind? Can you expand on that for me?
Yes. First of all, understand that by letting go of insistence, that is a way for opening up to receive what you truly need. Because insisting on things may actually close the door to receiving what you truly need. Because your insistence may be saying, I know what is best, I know what I need, and maybe you don't. So the idea is to drop the insistence, because insistence limits your ability to actually receive what you need. I will remind you of the 7 basic needs of life. You need air, you need water, you need sleep, you need food, you need some form of shelter or positive constructive environment that allows you to thrive. You need the idea of connection or relationship with something, whether it's a person or not. And you need the idea of self-creative expression, the idea of acting on your passion. If you say you have needs that go beyond those, then they are not needs, they are insistences on something that may not be what you need, but may only be representative of what your ego system wants. And it may not be aligned with what you truly need. If you receive the 7 things we just outlined that are the true needs in life, your life will be fulfilled. So you have to pay attention to whether the idea of what you say are your needs are actually really wants, or are they truly aligned with the 7 needs we just outlined. The idea of staying in a positive state is, again, your ability to experience whatever happens in a more constructive, beneficial way. Why would you want to stay in a negative state and experience things in a negative way, in a destructive way, in a way that doesn't serve you positively? Staying in a positive state is allowing you to interpret any experience and glean from that experience and extract from that experience something that will move you forward in a positive direction, that will allow you to feel more connected, more self-empowered. So the question is, why wouldn't you choose to stay in a positive state no matter what happens, knowing that if you do stay in that positive state, you'll be able to get a benefit out of whatever's going on? Even if you recognize that what manifested is something you don't prefer, that's just an objective observation. Staying in a positive state will allow you to understand how that manifestation can still serve you in a positive way by being there. Instead of succumbing to the negative state, that will only make it impossible for you to realize how that manifestation could serve you in a positive way. So it's up to you to decide what you actually prefer to experience, and know that you're making a choice to be in a state of being that will allow you to experience them in the way that you prefer, as opposed to experiencing things in the way that you don't prefer. So it's just simply a choice you make based on how you would like to experience things, and by understanding what your true basic needs are, and not calling things that are egotistical wants things that you actually think you need, when in fact you may not.
Hey, Bashar.
Good day.
Hi. I am so excited by this. I really thank you for this.
It is our passion and our pleasure. What would you like to discuss?
Well, my personal growth is really important to me. I've known that since I was a little kid. And it led me to you and the excuse me, senior moment. Um,
The formula?
The formula, thank you, thank you. Yes, and I've taken to the formula, and I have a really good understanding of it. And it's also I have the law of attraction information as well.
Yes, well, the law of attraction, in a sense, is built into the formula as well. Because, again, what you put out is what you get back.
Yes, I have discovered that my life has taken a terrific change. I'm basically happy all the time thanks to
Aw.
this.
Yes.
Um,
We are
and
basically happy all the time as well.
I like to hear that. Yes. Um, I guess my question I have, is there anything there that I may not be aware of that maybe I don't know. I don't actually know, but I'm just
If you
wondering if
say
I'm.
that you are happy all the time, why would you assume that there is something else you need to know? And why wouldn't you understand the formula enough to know that if there is something there, the reflective mirror component of it will bring it to your attention in the appropriate time?
I actually agree with you on that. I guess sometimes I get so excited that I forget where my passion takes me. But I do follow my passion. Like you, I'm an artist, so I do know what it's like to allow my creativity and my imagination
All
sometimes
right.
get the better of me. But yes,
All right. Well, as long as you always course correct, as long as you're always aware to check yourself, you'll be fine.
thank you, thank you. Uh, The only other question I have at this time, it just dawned on me that like the work you're doing to with First Contact, I was really happy to hear what the announcement you made about the next coming year. Uh, um, my question is like what do we on this planet at this time, what do we offer in this exchange?
Many different things, many different perspectives, ways of experiencing life, ways of expressing your creativity that are different from ours. It enhances and builds and adds to our understanding of all the different ways that all that is has of expressing itself. Plus, again, the idea is that in the suggestions that we will deliver in the upcoming transmissions, we will see how you use your creativity to perform these acts for all those who are willing to follow these suggestions, take the actions, and increase their vibrational frequency to be that more aligned with the interstellar alliance. You will come at it from a unique point of view.
I like that. Uh, I listen to a lot of information for, like near-death experiences. I like to give an understanding of what's waiting for us on the other side when we go back to where we came from.
Yes, but
Um,
remember that you are already there.
yes, I am quite aware of that.
All right.
I'm working on my relationship with my inner being and source, building on that relationship. But I do understand that I come from the perspective of an illusion
Yes.
and going back to something real. Uh, and I actually do enjoy that fact. I'm looking
Yes.
forward to that.
Yes, it doesn't diminish the effect of the illusion because the illusion has its purpose, allowing you experiences that cannot be had purely in spirit, and thus it expands you and allows you to grow. So just by understanding it as an illusion does not in any way, shape, or form discount the experience as important.
I, I've discovered how important our experience here is to uh, where source is. Uh,
Yes,
yes. Um, I also came to the conclusion that we are basically energy that
yes.
has consciousness.
Well, yes, consciousness is energy. Energy is consciousness.
Right.
Existence is conscious.
Well, I gotta say, Bashar, I really do appreciate this. I don't actually have any other questions, but I'm grateful to having this time with you.
As are we. We thank you for the co-creation of the interaction, and again, bid you an exciting path and journey. Aveo.
Leo.
All right, I'll say good day to all. We will begin this transmission by reminding you that it is titled The Relationship Between Fear and Power. We have discussed many ideas about how you can relate to the concept of fear when you experience it. We have reminded you that it is often the product of filtering your energy through negative belief systems. And because belief systems are designed to perpetuate themselves, we have talked about the idea of how negative beliefs may use fear to prevent you from letting them go as a form of perpetuating themselves. To make it seem worse to let them go, they will often amplify the fear in your attempt to divest yourself of these negative beliefs, so that again, making it seem as if something worse will happen by letting them go, by amplifying, magnifying the fear that you feel, that you experience during the process of attempting to let them go. And we have talked about the ability to understand that because that's what's happening, that you can realize that the stronger the fear, the closer you are to letting go of that negative belief, because then the negative belief is working that much harder by amplifying the fear to prevent you from moving forward in the direction that you prefer. But now let us talk about the idea of the energy itself. Remember, the most important thing in this particular idea is to understand that the only energy you ever feel is your own. We understand that in your reality, in your space-time reality, in the illusion of physical reality, it can often seem as if you're experiencing energy coming from another person or some other outside source. And while it may be true that a person may give off an energy, or an outside source may transmit energy in a variety of ways, the only way you can actually experience what they are transmitting is to match the frequency of that energy out of your own energy. And that's how you experience the idea that energy is coming from somewhere else to you. So in a sense, you cannot really be influenced or impacted by anyone else's energy unless you decide, either consciously or unconsciously, with your fear-based beliefs or whatever beliefs, to match that frequency in your own energy, thus creating a mirror, a reflection, a simulation, so to speak, of the energy coming to you from elsewhere, by mirroring it so closely that you feel it within your own energy. You match that frequency and have that experience that is representative of the energy coming to you. But again, you can't feel it until you match it. So your energy is the only energy you ever experience. Therefore, understand that when you experience fear on any level, to any degree, in any amount, you are experiencing your own energy being used to create a vibration that matches the concept of negativity, of disconnection, dissociation, disempowerment. Not that you can ever really be disempowered, but you are matching the frequency of the concept of disempowerment, which you can create. But please remember that in order to have an experience of disconnection and disempowerment, you actually have to be connected and empowered in order to create those disconnected and disempowering experiences. So the idea is to remember that you're always empowered. You cannot really be disempowered, because if you were really disconnected, really disempowered from creation, from all that is, you wouldn't be able to have any experience at all. So the fact that you may experience fear doesn't mean you're truly disempowered. It means simply that your power is being used to create a certain frequency that is representative of disconnection or disempowerment, but isn't actually disempowerment. So when you feel fear, allow yourself a moment to remember that you are feeling your own energy at a certain frequency. It's no one else's energy. It's not coming from anyone else or any other source, even though others may attempt to send it to you. what you experience is coming from you. So when you feel the energy that you are, the power that you have in the form of fear, the stronger the fear, paradoxically, the more you are put in touch with how powerful you are. So we are now in this transmission encouraging you to make an association in your mind, in your belief system, between the concept or the experience of fear and the experience of power, by simply first and foremost seeing or experiencing or understanding the sensation of fear as simply energy, as power itself, so that you can make a transition between that frequency that allows you to experience it fearfully and transition to an experience of having it feel like power, like energy coursing through you. We have, to some degree, talked about this a little bit before, about neutralizing the idea of fear by seeing it and experiencing it and understanding it simply as energy, so that you can shift that energy into whatever frequency you prefer. But here we're again attempting to get a stronger association in your mind between the idea of experiencing fear and experiencing your power, to recognize it as a flow of power through you. And therefore, in being able to understand that it's coming from you, to be able to really begin to sense that it's your power simply being filtered through a fear-based belief, you can begin to equate more often than not the idea that the more fear you feel, the more power you experience of your power, the more of it you experience. And then by starting to think of it as power and not really relating to it in the flavor, in the frequency it's being presented to you as fear, but only relating to it as a sensation of power, you can begin to remember that you are always empowered, never really disempowered, that you're using your power to create an experience of disempowerment. But since you know it's your energy and it's not really coming from anyone else or anywhere else, not in terms of how you experience it, then you can decide in that moment, when you feel great fear, to start thinking of it as power coursing through you. And the stronger the fear, the stronger the power, so that you begin to relate to it simply as power. And once you really begin to relate to fear as power, you will change the sensation the more you practice this, and it will really start to shift into a positive sense of power and self-empowerment, and a realization that you've always been self-empowered, and that all the effects and all the energy and all the experiences you've ever had in your life have always been made out of your own energy, because there's nothing else within you to allow you to experience things in any other way. You have to align, you have to agree, consciously or unconsciously, with the idea of anything being presented to you as a frequency from anyone else or any other source in order for you to experience it. Otherwise, it's invisible to you. There's no sensation, no experience whatsoever, no matter how many times another being or another source may offer or send to you a particular energy, a vibration, a frequency that they may be giving off. You will not be capable and are not capable of experiencing it in any way, shape, or form. It will be completely intangible, completely invisible to you, until you, consciously or unconsciously, make a choice to match that frequency or not match that frequency in order to experience it or not experience it in your life. Because everything, no exceptions, that you experience in your reality is made out of your energy. It's all yours. You own it, and you can do anything you wish with it. And the more you remember that fear is power, when you just think of it as energy and shift it into the positive side, then the greatest fear you experience in your life or have ever experienced in your life will give you a clue as to how powerful you are, how much power courses through you, how much energy courses through you. And you can change the frequency in whatever way you wish by your imaginary dial or whatever technique or permission slip you wish. But the first realization is that no matter what you feel, even if it is fear,
that is an indication of the power coursing through you that you have at your disposal to use in any way you so prefer. So just begin to make that association, that linkage between the idea of fear as power, and as soon as you start really thinking of it that way, as often as you can, anytime you feel the fear, it will start to subside from the fearful frequency and start to shift over into the frequency of the recognition that you are completely connected, completely empowered. And then you can direct that frequency in any way, shape, or form you wish toward your passion and allow that much power to course through you in the actions that you take in applying the passion in your life as best as you possibly can. Now remember that this information is not only coming to you verbally, but is also coming to you through the idea of a frequency of energy that we are giving off, not only through the channel's body, but through the electronics that you are experiencing in this remote session. But again, you can't feel the frequency we are giving you unless you decide to match it. So the idea for you is to hear that bell, hear that call, hear that synchronous reminder that wakes you up to the moment when you realize that the greatest fear you're feeling is also the greatest power, and allow yourself to utilize it in that way. So we thank you for allowing yourselves to match whatever level of the frequency you so desire to match that we are sending to you, so that you always know you have a reminder embedded, if you wish, in the very fabric of the space-time you are experiencing, that is always there for you to tap into and match that frequency according to your choices, according to your preferences, so that you always know you have this information right with you, wherever you are, whenever you are, every moment of your life. We thank you for allowing us to share this idea with you this day, and in return for the gift you have given us in allowing us to experience you in this co-creation, we ask, how now may we be of continued service to you? Please begin with your dialogues and your questions if you wish.